What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today we're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currently seeing lower lows. We actually just tested close to $6,400. This means that Bitcoin is continuing to see lower prices. Right now, I see a lot of people on social media who continue to take positions on the way down using leverage and continue to take losses as Bitcoin continues to see lower lows, right? And I just want to stress the importance of waiting for confirmation, guys. You can take a guess at any one of these lows and hope that it's going to be the low point for Bitcoin. But overall, it's important to just wait for bullish confirmation. There is nothing wrong with waiting to see that support come into the market and wait to see support build before you take a position. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not catching the exact bottom. And of course, guys, before we get started, you guys need to click that link below right now. Sign up for the CryptoWatch platform. CryptoWatch is by far the best platform for charting and trading, and you can actually trade across all the top exchanges, all from your price charts. So click that link below right now. Let's get started on the Bitcoin analysis. Right now, as you've noticed, a lot of people are looking for things to blame, right? They're looking at things like Plus token. They still have tens of thousands of Bitcoin to sell. They have Ethereum to sell. They are still dumping on this market on a daily basis. People are also blaming things like backed futures being implemented. All of these things do play a role, and all of these things are a factor here. As retail traders, we don't know what these people are going to do, right? So what we need to look out for is confirmations to the upside and confirmations to the downside. We are actually seeing a very similar result of this, trading environment that we saw at the end of the 2017 run-up. We are seeing, a break of the parabolic trajectory, which I've identified here with this circle. This is something we were looking at pretty much all summer, but the environment that we're trading in right now is actually quite similar to the 2017 blow off of the bubble. We have only found lower lows, right? We had a nice run up here coming out of the bear market, but now we've seen a decrease in demand and we have a lot of factors working against us. So let's just hop into the lower time frames now. Looking at the daily chart, Bitcoin, we saw a break of the parabolic trend. If you've been watching this channel, that's when we were looking for lower prices. The interesting thing is that we got a direct touch off of the exact price level I've been talking about all summer, which is the golden retrace, which comes in between 72 to 7,300. Got a 42% bounce, but now we've sold off below that. So that prediction ended up actually being wrong. We saw a lot more selling pressure in this market than expected, a lot more selling pressure than all previous cycles. There's nothing wrong with just waiting for confirmation to the upside. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, there's nothing wrong with waiting for actual bullish confirmation rather than just taking a guess that any of these points is the low point, and that if you don't buy right here, then you're going to miss out on the next major pump, guys. That's not a winning strategy, right? You got to wait for actual confirmation. So, your first confirmation would be breaking above the falling wedge pattern. This could be an indication that Bitcoin is looking for further upside. Your second confirmation would be using that resistance as support. And then, of course, continuing to see higher lows, right? You want to see higher lows off that area and then a break above 8,000. And that would mean that Bitcoin is looking to potentially have a good recovery here, maybe trade sideways before going into the halving. As long as we are still in this falling wedge pattern, just seeing, support and resistance here, there are no confirmations, guys, right? As long as we're still below this resistance right here, which is coming in, closer to 7,000, and as long as we're sitting above this support here, which is coming in just above 6,000, I mean, this is really just, we're just continuing the downtrend and we're just sticking within this falling wedge pattern. But right now the trend is down, guys. We are seeing lower highs and we're seeing lower lows, and we're seeing, Bitcoin continue to dump. We're seeing, some of these Ponzi schemes continue to dump supply back into the market. And we also have, Wall Street, futures working against us as well. Overall, guys, Bitcoin is in a different place in a different time right now. I'm starting to think that we can't necessarily just expect Bitcoin to do what it's done in the past anymore. What we have to look out for now is Bitcoin doing something different, right? This is a bit of a wild card scenario. If Bitcoin can get a nice break out of the falling wedge pattern and trade sideways and, get above some resistance here, then of course this could mean that we're entering a good healthy halving period where Bitcoin is going to be looking to retest the all-time high. And at that point, Bitcoin would be continuing its long-term growth pattern. But of course, guys, for the bears, if we break below the falling wedge pattern here, if we actually break below that support, this would also mean that Bitcoin is breaking below our downward sloping support line, right? You know, Bitcoin has this downward sloping resistance line here. So if we can't hold this support area here, things could get very ugly for the price of Bitcoin very, very quickly. If we can't hold support, if we can't hold this downward sloping support line, and we break below, 6,400, which historically is a very significant zone for Bitcoin, and this is where most of the volume is sitting on the chart. If Bitcoin can't hold this 6,400 level, I personally think that we would actually be looking for a major dump, to possibly below 5,000. And at that point, guys, as I discussed in yesterday's video, Bitcoin would be looking for more long-term stability. And this would be a total confirmation that the long-term growth pattern for Bitcoin is actually changing and that the stock to flow model is becoming irrelevant, actually, if we continue to see lower lows in the Bitcoin market. But this is all just speculation. We need to see actual confirmations of this. We need to see Bitcoin actually breaking to the downside. But again, guys, this is not really the end of the world. I mean, Bitcoin is a currency at the end of the day and a store of value. And this would just bring a little bit more stability into the market and a little bit more usability as well as a currency. Although, this would also provide incredible trading opportunity if Bitcoin was to do something like this. I mean, you could see, you would get some pretty amazing swings out of this type of environment. 30, 40% to the downside, over 100% to the upside, 40% to the downside, 50% to the upside. Stuff like that, I think, would take place in this market if we were to see continued downside. So it's really not the end of the world, but we would just see longer term stability for multiple years. So either way, guys, what I'm waiting for right now is a confirmation in either direction, which would mean a break of this falling wedge pattern in either direction. We haven't actually seen a break of the falling wedge pattern yet, which Bitcoin has been forming recently. And I want to see a break of this pattern. Once we see a break of this pattern, we'll have a much better idea of which way Bitcoin's willing to go. Right now, it's kind of a gamble, taking a pick in which direction Bitcoin is heading. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a gamble. Historically, Bitcoin does find support at these levels and, sees at least sideways action before a major rally. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to sign up with the CryptoWatch platform using that link below, and I will see you all in the next video.